Low-income earners are still suffering. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's look at this article from news.com.au written by Gerard Coburn. ANZ economists say low-wage earners are still feeling the financial impact of the 2020 pandemic. Well, yeah, they're going to. The recession, the impact of the recession is delayed. It takes some time to filter through the economy. It's going to take years. New research has found low-income earners are still financially hurting from the economic downturn sparked by the government interventions to mitigate COVID-19. Low-income earners are still feeling the financial ramifications, according to new research conducted by one of Australia's largest banks. Does this surprise anyone? I mean, low-income earners are going to feel are going to be doing it tough, just in general, because they're low-income earners. ANZ has found Australians on low wages were disproportionately affected by the hit to employment levels last year compared to high-income earners, as the mass shutdown sparked by the COVID-19 hurt industries such as hospitality, retail and tourism. ANZ senior economist Catherine Birch said job vacancies had improved and employment levels could track upwards in the first quarter of 2021, but stagnant growth in new vacancies in low to middle income brackets may hinder the recovery of the job market. Encouragingly, as restrictions have lifted, employment has rebounded quickly in the lowest paid occupations, Ms. Birch said in an economic note distributed by ANZ. But for workers in the middle and second lowest paid occupation groups, the recovery so far has been sluggish. So at least there's an uptick to the lowest paid workers and generally the lowest skilled, where there's the greatest competition for some of these jobs. ANZ's latest unemployment figure was 6.8%, with the RBA previously confirming ongoing stimulus would be needed while the rate was above 5%. So they're ongoing stimulus, everyone. This is going to become an election issue. How long are they going to keep the stimulus can kicking going on and intervening in the market? The stimulus isn't magic. It's not free. We have to pay for it in the future. According to ANZ, the pickup of low-wage jobs is imperative to the overall economy as a glut would impact wage growth and the needed boost in inflation. Wage growth has just been terrible for years. The RBA's predictions of wage growth have failed again and again and again. I don't know how they could have made all those assumptions that it was going to get better. It seems like just hope. It really does. For wages to grow, there needs to be a supply issue. It's that simple. It's got nothing to do with the RBA. If anything, the RBA is going to inflate the housing market. That's where they're going to have the biggest impact with their lower, their insanely low cash rates. So that disincentivizes people from starting a business. Why would you start a business and employ people where you have to deal with people, number one, where you have to deal with all the red tape, all the BS, all the politics, and it's even getting worse now with all the social justice rubbish around the place. When you can just buy a house, do absolutely nothing to it, and watch it go up by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then sell, pay your stamp duty, your whatever else, your fees and charges, and make some decent coin. Sure, you've got to pay tax, but you don't have the same hassle as running a business. All the same stresses, all the same issues. And frankly, I can appreciate why a lot of people are going down that path. Because life, you don't need to be a mega millionaire or have a huge business. Generally, you just want to have enough money to pick and choose what you have to do. You want to have that independence. And if you can do that in property rather than starting a business, what do you think is going to happen? And where do you think the government is incentivizing everything? That's the issue. I don't know why anyone's talking about wage growth. We need to have more business growth before you have more wage growth. You need businesses competing for a limited pool of people, or else there won't be wage growth. You can, put all these rules and laws in place to have minimum wages. That just sets an artificial bar for the supply and demand curves. So that results in extra unemployment. There's some people that can't work at that capacity. that don't have the capabilities. So then you've got, I would argue, you have a duty of care. If you're artificially limiting the market, limiting the people, the ability of people to work, you have a duty of care to them. I'd suggest it to be better to open up a little bit more and to create incentives for business to thrive and grow. But there doesn't seem to be the political will for that. Or most people don't understand that a minimum wage isn't a panacea for everyone's problems and actually creates some unemployment. And it disincentivizes people from hiring. Rather than hiring two, you hire one. Rather than hiring one full-time, you hire a part-timer. So, and who suffers? Those on the lowest rung. People trying to build themselves up. The central bank has an optimal inflation target rate of 2 to 3%. However, RBA Governor Philip Lowe expects inflation to remain below the needed level for the next couple of years. A persistent, uneven labour market recovery could have macro-level consequences and may make it more difficult to get underutilisation low enough to drive wage growth and inflation sustainably higher. And this is where, essentially, you want competition for labour. You want people competing. Back when I was a student working in architecture here in Brisbane, we would consistently get paid significantly more than the award. No one was paid the minimum because there was competition. There was demand for students. There was so much work going on. That's it. Roughly 39% of all job losses were from the 6 low-income occupations: waiters, sales assistants, bar attendants, baristas, kitchen hands, drivers, and beauty therapists. Low-skilled employment is also in a long-term decline due to the automation of routine work, which usually falls in the lower income categories. And that's creeping into other professions as well. You're going to see it more and more. Ms. Birch said the demand to the labour force from the pandemic largely impacted younger demographics, which make up the bulk of low-wage sectors. And often that's people's first jump into the labour market. It's their first job. It's the first skills. You know, it's frustrating hiring someone with no experience because they need to learn the culture of working. And then the danger is, what if you have someone with intergenerational unemployment? They may never have even seen a family member that's worked. Do you want to take the risk hiring them? A lot of people will just say no, simply because they don't want the hassle, because it's a pain. It is, it can be. Some people will step up and they'll take pride and they'll give people a chance, and good on them for doing it. But you have to realize what's going on. This is why the government is creating these incentives to employ younger people. So I know it's discrimination when they're giving, $100 a week for someone under 36 or something, and I think $200 even if you're younger. That's to avoid economic scarring, unemployment scarring, where these people are just locked out of the workforce and they can't jump back in. Young workers' overrepresentation in occupations affected by COVID restrictions, as well as their lower likelihood of JobKeeper eligibility, meant that they account for 37% of employment losses between February and May, despite making up less than 15% of the pre-COVID workforce, she said. Ms. Birch said the job losses skewed towards younger workers helped explain why the housing market was resilient during the economic downturn, as they were less likely to own a home. ANZ said government policies such as the Job Maker hiring credit and Job Trainer Fund would help younger workers skill up for industries where there was future demand. However, older workers would see the scarring effects of unemployment. That's the sad reality is, guys. I'm about to hit 40, so 40 up. When you're working for someone else and you lose a job, it's going to be harder to get back in. That's it. 45, you're considered too old. But Florian, that's age discrimination. It's unfair. Yeah, I know. Kind of sucks, doesn't it? That's life, guys. This is why I'm teaching my children to, this morning I had a conversation with Mina. She's 7 years old, and I was explaining her the concept of building a money machine. You want to take your money and you want to invest it into different things so you can get money for doing nothing, passive income. First, at this stage, it's looking at different shares. You put it into that company, then you'll get a payment, every quarter, sometimes every month or every year. And that's money you didn't have to work for. You want to get to the point where you have enough of that you don't need to work, or if something goes wrong, you don't need to depend on the government because you can't trust them because they can change all the rules. So, that's how you have to plan these days, guys. I think in previous generations where you could have a job for life and stay with one employer and grow with them, that's long gone now. It's long gone. I can't even imagine it existing. Workers in the middle and second lowest quintiles, income brackets, may suffer more hardship in the short term from loss of employment and income, Ms. Birch said. They tend to be older and more likely to have dependent children than workers in the lowest quartile. The introduction of the coronavirus supplement to job seeker would have helped cushion the blow early in the pandemic, but the supplement was cut to $150 per fortnight from January 1, and there has been no confirmation of whether and by how much the job seeker rate will be increased after March 31. ANZ research said older workers would also lose out to younger workers who were more likely to have higher levels of education. Really? Maybe, I guess. I mean, that's probably a bit out of date now, but then again, you know, I'm technically a millennial. Technically, you know, right on the borderline. I'm one of those millennial Gen X hybrid people that grew up in an analog childhood but were young enough to still take advantage of modern tech. So computers didn't scare us. So I guess even older people, they may not have all the degrees and qualifications that the younger people do have, but they have experience, and that should be quite valuable too. But if we're looking at working more remotely and more digitally, that can be a disadvantage. So here we have it, everyone. You know, the lowest are still feeling the impact. Lowest wage earners are still feeling the impact. And this is going to continue. With the recession, you know, sure, we had those 2 quarters of negative growth, but the impact of that is going to ripple through the economy for this coming year. So what advice would you give a younger self? Or what would you teach a 7-year-old about how to build a money-making machine? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I cobbled together here, there are a few ways you can support the channel. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.